All right, so we're joined from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi, by my friend, Germantown High School alum, Chloe Carter, morning news anchor at WXXV News 25, right there on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We thank you so much for joining us today. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. This is our Kyle's Career Readiness. We're in the Art, Design, and Entertainment Career Cluster. And we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, your alma mater, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, Rosa Scott, and our YouTube channel. So thank you because you just jumped right off the air to be
I
with
did.
us.
Yes, I did. I jumped. We wrapped up at like 9 o'clock. I unmiked and came on this Zoom. Thank you all so much for having me. It's really an honor. One of the things when I first started this career was that, I wanted to make a difference within my community and be that helping hand for younger people that are wanting to go into journalism or media careers. That was just something big that I wanted to do. I wanted to not just be, I guess technically I am today, but I didn't just want to be a face that you see on the TV screen, but to really dive in and make a difference. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on, but connections are huge in this field. And so for you all, you have your first connection. I'm going to give you all my email at the end of this Zoom call so that if you ever need anything, you can reach out to me and you officially have your first contact. But we're kind of going to be doing a little bit of what happens behind the scenes. But before we start all of that, I'm going to introduce who I am. My name's Chloe Carter, and I'm a news anchor and multimedia journalist here at WXXV News 25 in Gulfport, Mississippi. From Gluckstadt, Mississippi, like your teacher just said. I went to Germantown High School. And I graduated in 2021, so it really wasn't all that long ago. I'm only 22 years old from Gluckstadt, just graduated Mississippi State in May, moved down here in June, and about 2 weeks after I started on the morning show, which is kind of awesome. I graduated with a degree in broadcast. Digital journalism was my minor. My biggest degree was in communications. I'm the morning news anchor, and we are a Fox, NBC, and CW affiliate. This is my first job. Obviously, I graduated in May. So to be able to be an anchor, first job right out of the gate of college is a huge honor. And I'm at the best station ever. I mean, I love my work family here. We have so much fun on the morning show. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So, first of all, you might be wondering, what is a news anchor? What's the difference between a reporter, a news anchor? There's so many jobs in news. Well, your anchor is who presents the news live on air every single day. So we are in studio and we sit at the desk. Good morning, South Mississippi for y'all. Good morning, Jackson, Mississippi would be what they say. I'm sure y'all watch WLBT, WJTV. That's what I grew up with. But we are live from the studio each day for 4 hours. We go live at 5 a.m. and we wrap up the show at 9. So 4 hours of news every single morning. It's awesome. We don't write all of our script, but we do write certain script. We have sponsored segments. So for one of ours, it's our hometown hellos. So I come in and I'll write that little script for myself. And then I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD. My teachers at Germantown High School, if they're watching this, they're going to be like, yeah, we know. But it can be a struggle sometimes to read that teleprompter because of that. But I go in and I'm able to make it my own wording so it sounds a little bit more like me rather than too newsy. I try to make it sound a little bit like Chloe. I also, when I do have trouble with words when I'm reading through that script, I'll break them down to, just make it a little bit easier for myself to pronounce it because words don't look the same when they're on the teleprompter. We deliver the stories. So your reporter is who's out in the field getting your story. Your news anchor is who's introducing it, wrapping it up, talk a little bit about it. We deliver those stories to the people that are watching. Sometimes we do go report and we shoot and we write and we edit stories. That's kind of more of what an MMJ does, which I also do. I'll go out some mornings after I wrap up live in the studio. MMJ is a multimedia journalist. And what they do, the only difference really between a reporter and an MMJ is you're writing your own script and you also do the camera work yourself. So we're going to talk more of like what a reporter and a photog are, but multimedia journalists, you're doing it a little bit yourself. So I do some of that. But it's really fun. Being out in the field is just as fun as being live here in the studio because you get really cool experiences. You get to go to awesome events. I mean, my job is literally to sit here and talk, which I'm sure y'all already know. I'm really kind of good at talking. Um, Another huge thing is finding and pitching story ideas. So the way that we do this is our team will have a meeting, and we also have a calendar where you can put in events that are happening, or big things that are happening here on the Gulf Coast, or maybe in like a neighboring city, Hattiesburg. We talk a little bit about Hattiesburg or the Louisiana line because we're right there by it. But you go out and you try to find, unique stories or stuff that may be happening nationally that you can tie into your local community. For an example, with the government shutdown, that it actually wrapped up today, but we have a lot of veterans and military base here on the coast. And so you could do a story. I could come in and I could be like, I want to go interview some of those military about how, it's affecting them. So that's a huge national story, but I'm tying it in locally by going and interviewing and talking to some of the military people we have down here. We do a lot of interviews. Interview is a huge part of what we do, but it's really, really fun because you're just sitting there having a conversation. There's no script. You're just asking questions about these people events or their stories, and you just get to hear them out. And that's a huge thing in media is storytelling, letting these people tell their stories, helping them tell their stories. We do 3 interviews every single morning. Just wrapped up an interview. I'm not sure if y'all know what 6-7 is, but it was selected as the word of the year for a dictionary. And we have a teacher here that was on TMZ for explaining what it means. So that was a kind of a fun interview. I didn't know what it meant. I was able to learn. And then having a social media presence is really big too. Because like I said, you don't want to be just a face that you see on your TV screen. So making sure that you connect with your viewers on social media, build that personal relationship with your viewers as much as you can. They love keeping up with social media. So we make sure that our presence on social media is really, really big. And who doesn't love a good fun post on social media, especially high schoolers? I know y'all are looking at that like, yeah, it's fun. So that's kind of what we do. Now, what it's really like working in news, I'm not going to lie to you, it is hard some days, but it is all worth it. All worth it. The dedication definitely has to be there, but in the end, the reward is so much greater than the challenge. It is very fast paced and deadline driven. As y'all know, the world constantly has things happening. So that's your job. Your job is to talk about and to go out and get these things, which means it's very fast paced. I mean, you open up TikTok, Instagram, the internet, literally anything, and you refresh, something else is happening, something new's going on. So when we say it's fast paced, that's not being dramatic to any sort. It's very fast paced because things are constantly happening, and deadline driven is so important because I mean, we're live on TV. Like we have to be doing certain things certain times. Like we've got to have stories for these newscasts. So there is no and if or but about turning these stories in. You go out, you shoot it, you come back, you edit, and you have it in by that deadline. Teamwork. Teamwork is huge. It's an essential in the newsroom. We're all working together to put on a newscast. I mean, our morning newscast is 4 hours, and then we have a 12 o'clock show, and then we have a 5 and 6 and a 9 and 10. So just because we work different shifts doesn't mean that we're all working together to make our newscast the very best newscast that we can make it for the people here in South Mississippi. And for me, my co-anchor and I, as well as my meteorologist, I mean, we're up at crazy hours. That can be hard. So we really relate to each other and we've built this special relationship and just you've got to be able to work as a team. It's huge, it's huge, it's huge. Your producers are a huge part of that teamwork, your directors, everybody flows together to make one great newscast. So you've got to make sure that you build good relationships with your coworkers and that y'all are able to work together. And then, yeah, you mess up live sometimes, and that's okay. We try to make it not happen as much as we can, but it does happen. And it's kind of embarrassing when it does, but people really don't notice it as much as you notice it. But you try not to do that, but it is okay when it happens. You just act like it didn't happen. I mean, today, my IFB, which is the piece we wear in our ear, doesn't work. And our floor director had walked off to get a sip of water. And I didn't know we were being brought back up on camera. And I was like still kind of situating. So that happened. So mess ups happen and it's okay. You just play them off and you take it and make yourself better because of it. Caffeine is my survival. My alarm goes off at 2:30 in the morning. So without caffeine, I would not be sitting here on this Zoom right now. I would probably be asleep. That is a newsroom essential. People are constantly drinking coffee, all of the energy drinks. It's so, so important to us. Kind of added that in there as a fun one. So I know that being on camera is not for everybody. Your on-air talent is going to be your anchors, your reporters, your meteorologists, your MMJs. But that's not for everybody, and that's okay. And I think a big misconception is public speaking is what a lot of you all are afraid of. It's not really public speaking though, because a little secret, we don't see our viewers. They see us, we don't see them. So it's not like talking in front of a big crowd.
Yeah.
Um, it's not. I mean, I did. I was MC for an event the other day, and I was like, this is a lot more intimidating than what I do every day. And people are like, you talk on TV every day. I'm like, yeah, but I don't see them. So that's a little thing. We don't see you, so it's not as scary as it may seem. But it's not for everybody, and I understand that. And there's so many more jobs in the field of media. There's a producer. Your producer is putting the entire show together. I mean, our producer gets here at 1 a.m. He's absolutely incredible. He's constantly finding things to make our show different from another. They set up interviews, so they're in contact with people who are interviewing. If breaking news comes in, which can happen quite a bit, they're the ones that are putting that breaking news together, so that we're able to tell people, hey, breaking, this is happening. A big one of those was we had a shooting here at Ingalls Shipyard, and our producer, we had 2 minutes until the show wrapped, and he had to quickly write that script together. But that's the kind of things that the producer is doing. So if you're looking for a fast pace, always doing something, but you don't want to be on camera, producer's great. They write our whole show, and they get to find really cool videos, and it's very creative. So if you're a creative mind and you like putting things together, this might be what you need to do. Now, our director, that's kind of like who's telling us, what's going on. Director, if you got a little bit of a bossy personality, that's okay because there's a job for you. Being a director, you tell your talent what's going on. You got to cue them. You got to be like, hey, we're being brought back up. You got to go, we're coming to this camera. They're very quick around the floor. We have floor directors. There's also a director that's doing I'm not going to speak too much on it because they have a whole lot that I don't know about. I just know that they're awesome for it, but they're clicking a whole bunch of buttons to make sure things are being played at certain times, at the right times, so that y'all are seeing what we're talking about.
Yep.
I guess that's the best way to put it. And then we have editors. So we have an assignment editor here at WXXV who he's finding out some things for us in case it's what we call a slow news day. Our reporters can go into a calendar and, find stuff that's happening that they can go get some inspo for a story for, which is great to have. He also is doing things behind the scenes to make sure that we have the best newscast that we can. But and social media, they post to social media. There's all kind of different things that an editor can do. We can also send video back to them for them to cut really fast. If a reporter's live somewhere, they're like, hey, here's some video. We can cut some video for some B-roll. An editor can do that. Now, I talked a little bit about this one earlier, but a photog, that's who actually goes out with a reporter, not an MMJ, and they follow them around with a camera. So they're doing the camera work for your reporter so that hey, if you're walking around and there's some stuff going on and you want the camera to follow you, that person is actually following you. So for a photog, I say that is for people that want to be out in the field, want to see what's happening, but maybe they don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
There's a perfect job for you. And we also have a digital content creator. This is who's posting to our social media. She's cutting interviews, cutting clips from our live newscast, putting it onto social media, writing for our website, making phone calls to make sure stuff happens. This is who a lot of our viewers are in contact with. So a digital content creator is somebody who's also going to be creative. It's in the title. You got to be creative when it comes to this because you're essentially designing our website, posting to our website, posting to our social media page, And for the crowd I'm talking to, high schoolers, y'all are looking at social media when it comes to news. A lot of y'all aren't maybe watching a live newscast anymore because it's so easy to follow your local news station on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So that's who's putting that together for you. And then we have our camera operators, kind of like a floor director. They're directing the camera, setting the shot, zooming in, out, doing all the things on the camera that I'm not sure how to do. Because those cameras are very big and very hard to work, but you have somebody who operates camera. That might be up some of y'all's alleys. And then we have different sort of engineers that we work with, and they do all the techie stuff. I really can't tell you everything they do because it's so much, and there's so much technology when it comes to running a live newscast. But and I that's just way out of my ball field. But there are tons of engineers. A sound engineer just happens to be one of them, monitoring, you know, what you hear and make sure it's not too loud, busting your eardrums out. But we also have a graphics person. So that's a huge thing now is graphic design, making sure that these graphics that we post to social media or we use on it'll float over our face to cool graphic, something like that. Y'all know what a graphic designer is, most of you. That's a big thing, and I know because I'm not that much older than y'all are, a huge thing that a lot of people want to do. So we do have to have like somebody that designs graphics for our newscast. And it's a huge thing when it comes to sponsorships, making sure that the graphics for sponsorships are
Oh
done
yeah.
right, that it mentions everything that it needs to mention. But then we have sales and marketing. Speaking of sponsorships, there's a whole other side that's never on camera. They're on the complete opposite side of the building, but they're out there selling commercials, selling our station to make sure it's expensive to run a newscast. But they sell commercials. They do all kind of marketing and all of that. That's again not my ball field, but I mean, you got to sell stuff to make sure stuff happens. People have to be paid, things have to be paid for. And that's what our sales and marketing team's a lot about. So I know that a lot of people love to, major in marketing and sales in college. Well, you could do that with media. And that would be really fun. Our sales team gets to do a lot of fun things. They have a lot of cool clientele, work with really cool people, go to all these events. So sales and marketing and media is a huge thing. We couldn't run our station without it. Now there's also radio. Um, Radio and TV are completely different things, in case y'all didn't know that. Totally different. But if you're not wanting to be on camera, but you love to talk and you have a big personality, radio's the job for you. It's huge. And they have their own world of things, producers, directors, all of it. Podcast. That's the same thing. I mean, it all is working together to make what you see on the TV. So those are kind of some of the jobs that you're offered. There's a huge world out there for you all. So maybe you don't want to be on camera and you're kind of wondering, sitting there thinking, what do I want to do? Well, here's a huge variety. You're working in TV, which is really cool, but there's so many different sides that go into it, and those are just a few of your options. There's still so many more. So those are some of the career paths that you could choose that you don't want to be on camera, but you want to work in a newsroom or you want to work in media because it's a great field to get into. I'm not just saying that because I'm in it. The skills that you have to have are so important. And my mom and my teachers are probably laughing at some of these that they are going to see on here because I wasn't in high school, the perfect student. I didn't have the best writing skills or time management was a huge one. I just kind of did what I needed to get through high school. I shouldn't have done that, so don't do that. I wish I paid attention more. But these are the skills that you need to have. Writing and storytelling. Obviously, my entire job is to sit there and tell a story. I've always loved storytelling. I'm a very in-depth storyteller. So that's kind of how I knew I wanted to get into this field. But writing, and some of y'all may be seeing this being a little intimidated. Don't be, because my writing has grown tremendously, even from when I graduated college to coming into an actual newsroom. You learn very quick. Um, I wasn't the best writer in high school. I doubted my work all the time. So if you're sitting there like, I really want to work in media, but I'm not that good of a writer, you learn. You learn. And that kind of comes with the next thing that I'm going to talk about is confidence. So you have to be confident. And this is huge when it comes into the media. Because it's so easy. I think a lot of people all the time compare themselves. It's easy to do with social media, especially in our generation, is to compare yourself to the person next to you or the next person coming in to take the job. It's huge. When a job hires you, they hire you because you're yourself and you're yourself in that interview, and they think that your personality is great for their station. And you have to go in there with the confidence for that. You have to be, this is my personality. This is who I am. This is how I'm going to make your station, your job that you're needing filled the best to the best of my ability because this is who I am. And you have your own little twist to it. Confidence grows. Confidence grows. You become confident more and more, and y'all will learn that as you get more comfortable with things that you do in media. But you have to be confident to be able to story tell well, to be able to write well, and to be able to speak in public. Like I wouldn't say I've ever been a shy personality, but public speaking definitely intimidated me a little bit. And you just have to go out there. You have to say, hey, I'm me. If y'all don't like me, well, that's okay because somebody does. I'm out here, I'm doing the job. Somebody's going to give me that opportunity. So
Yeah.
confidence is key. Time management is very, very big. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but you have to meet certain deadlines in a newsroom because you got to run a newscast. I mean, we're going live at 5 no matter what. So those time management skills have to be met. And as a reporter and as definitely a new journalist, you're doing a lot of different things. You're balancing a lot of different things, especially working in a smaller market because we are in Mississippi. We're not Washington D.C. with Fox and CNN. So we have to do a little bit more. We don't just show up, look pretty, and talk on camera. There's some work that goes behind it. You may be getting multiple stories a day, or some days I get off air from a 4-hour morning newscast. I do some cut-ins for NBC, so I have to get those recorded, and then I'm going out into the field and doing things. And I have to make sure that my story is back to the station at a time that it needs to be for either the noon show or the 5 or 6 p.m. show. So you have long days sometimes, and that's okay because it's fun and you're working your way up and you're doing the job, you're doing what you once dreamed of. That's what you have to tell yourself. But time management is so, so big because you can be balancing a lot of things. Some days staff may be short and you may need to go to multiple stories. So you got to make sure that you're timing it down to where you can go to one event, get what you need to from that event, go to the next event, get that, come back to the station and get it in. Which is kind of what ties into the next one, which is working under pressure. Like I said, and news is always happening. A newsroom can be very stressful when big stories break. I think the biggest one that we have break, Charlie Kirk's assassination. I mean, we're live on TV and a huge public figure is assassinated on a college campus. I mean, that's huge. They come in your ear and they're like, hey, this happens. You have to break into it right now. Or again, what happened at Ingalls? Or there's all kind of circumstances for breaking news and working under pressure, and you have to have stuff in at a certain time period. So pressure is just huge. Breaking news, I would say, would be the most high pressure, intense thing for me personally. I love breaking news though. I love to come in and be like, breaking news. It's really fun. It is very stressful because you want to make sure you can get the most details in at a time, but you also may not know all the details. So you kind of have to drag out your words. But working under pressure, huge, huge, huge. Multitasking, luckily for me, I told y'all I got through high school at the bare minimum, just did what I needed to get by. So I've always been pretty good at multitasking. I'm not sure if that's good at this time in y'all's lives. When you get to where I am, it can be a really good thing though. Multitasking, you got to balance a bunch of different hats when you're working in a newsroom and when you're doing things and when you're live on TV. During commercial breaks, I run back and I will type things into the script because I think I mentioned it earlier, but we have a little hometown hello segment. And that's comments on our Facebook page that viewers are leaving for a fun question. So we have to make sure that we are getting those comments in to our teleprompter so we can read them live on TV. So, you run back behind and type those answers in. Got to get back for when you're brought back up on camera. Or, 4 hours. Sometimes you got to use the bathroom in those 4 hours. You got to run to the bathroom and come back. Make sure you're there. So multitasking is huge. And with all of these comes being committed. You got to be committed to your work because the best work is only going to be brought out if you're committed to your job. So all of these things can be a lot, but if you're committed to doing it and it's something that you're passionate about, then hey, you're going to be good at it. So I know this can sound a little bit overwhelming, but I promise I'm the most all over person that there is. And yeah, you have to. I'm a big girl now. I'm actually working in a newsroom, so I have to have it together. But you can do it. It's not as intimidating and as much as it sounds like. And it sounds like so much. I remember sitting in your shoes, being like, "Oh, wow," but it really is worth it all. And how to get started. First of all, you gotta have a little bit of passion for it. I know some of y'all know what y'all are gonna do. Some of y'all may not, and that's okay too, because you're gonna figure it out. But passion's key. If you have just a tad bit of passion for what you want to do, that's all you need. You gotta be eager to learn. Questions being asked all the time. Eager, eager, eager. Things are constantly happening. Technology is constantly changing, and we have to know how to keep up with that. So you got to be eager to get out there and learn about things. I mean, you're learning about things constantly when you're interviewing people for stories. You're learning about their event or what's happening. So being eager to learn. And if media is something that you're really, really wanting to get into and you're wanting to be that on-air talent, building a reel, starting early.
Yeah.
A reel is basically your resume, because when you're looking for on-air talent, you don't want somebody that looks good on paper but cannot talk whatsoever when it comes to in person. So a reel is about a 3 4 minute video of short clips of you from doing different stories and all of that. Now, I know y'all are looking to get into different colleges. Different colleges would really appreciate a reel if you're wanting to go into their journalism department. So, whatever sports season it is, if you're wanting to get into sports, go on the sidelines. Your coaches won't mind. Or go on the basketball court, go on the baseball field. Do the things that you need to and give us a report of it. Tell us what's happening. Put together a story, and you can take clips from those, put them together for this 3 4 minute video. And of course, if you'll ever need help building a reel, you can reach out to me, or you can look on YouTube, because there's tons of reels on YouTube, and get some inspo from that. But it's really, really good to start early, email them to the college. And that's how you can also get, really cool opportunities in college too, when you are in a journalism department, is by saying, "Hey, I have this reel. I've been doing this since high school. Here it is. I would love the opportunity to do this." So some cool things can happen by building a reel. Ask questions, be curious, and take initiative. Like we kind of talked about earlier, being eager to learn. You got to ask the questions, because I remember I asked probably a gazillion questions when I first started here and I had my first story, because there's so much that goes into putting a story together and the little things, but it's always better to ask questions and make sure in media, because it's going on TV and you want people to think, "Hey, your work is good." So be able to ask those questions. And no question is a stupid question, especially in media, because you are live on air. So you have to be curious. You have to want to learn and take initiative on those questions. When you get them answered, don't wait and be like, "Oh, I don't want to be annoying. Like, I'm just going to wait." No, you're not annoying. Everybody's been there. Everybody has to ask questions. So do it. Take initiative. Do it right then, right there. Getting out of your comfort zone, I know that can be difficult for a lot of people. Talking on camera is not always comfortable, but you have to step out of it. You have to want to get out there and do certain things. So getting out of your comfort zone is very, very important. Nobody ever talks recording themselves for the first time and be like, "Oh my gosh, that was so good." I know when y'all take your Snapchat and you take your TikToks, y'all film them more than one time. That's kind of how it is here. Like, you got to get out of that comfort zone. You got to start somewhere. Record yourself, talk to yourself, do a little get ready with me, whatever you need to, but it's not going to feel comfortable. It's not. I'm not going to lie to you. So you just have to step out of that comfort zone. Internships. This is where I made the mistake. I did not get an internship while I was in college. I 100% should have. I took a class that was kind of an internship, and I was like, "Oh, I'll be good." No, start your internships. And when I say that, it ties into this next one: connections, connections, connections. You already have your first connection here, so never be afraid to reach out. But so many journalists and on-air talent, whatever it might be, are wanting to be a helpful hand for the next future of journalism. We want it to stay what it is and continue to grow and get better. So email, email Howard Blue. I'm sure he won't care. He would love to help out the future of
He's
journalism.
he's a friend of this class. We've had him on multiple occasions.
He's the best. And he's very, very helpful and wanting to help the next generation of you all. So just be like, "Hey, can I come shadow you, for a day?" Email and make those that's how you're going to step out there and make your connections. But internships are huge, and the more that you can put on your resume, the more internships become available. And that's where that reels is going to be a big thing too, because they're going to want to see some of your work before they say, "Hey, yeah." Because interns do. They put you on air as an intern. But that's the fun part, because then when you do graduate college and get a job, because it's going to be 4 years that go by so fast, you're going to be able to get that job and be comfortable. So internships, I definitely would say reach out, go get them. I did a really cool one. Sports was something that I was big on in college. I was the sports anchor for our Mississippi State newscast. I get to do sports with the morning show. But I had a little internship with SEC Network and ESPN. I'm not sure if y'all know what that is. But it wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, because I wanted to be on air, on camera. But when a certain opportunity presents itself and you can make that connection, you take it. You always say yes. So I could run cameras and run audio for ESPN and SEC Network, and that introduced me to a new pool of people. And I took that opportunity and I took it, and it was awesome. And so if I ever do, get to a point where I feel comfortable that I could work at ESPN and SEC Network, I could reach out to the people that I met because they just said yes. So that's a huge, huge thing. What I wish I knew when I was your age is confidence comes with reps. Like we talked about earlier, you're not going to get on camera or your phone and be like, "Hey, I'm super, super comfortable with this. This turned out great. I look great. I sounded great. Everything about it's perfect." And if you do, well, props to you, because I've literally never heard that come out of anybody's mouth. So, confidence comes with reps, and you will get more comfortable with it as you continue to go on. I can look at my videos from a month ago and I can see growth. So your confidence is going to come with reps. So that's something that intimidated you when you heard that confidence is key when it comes to this. Don't let it be. It comes with reps. You're going to get the practice in, but you do have to initially go into it with the mindset of, "I'm going to be the best at what I do. And this is my story. I'm confident with the way that I tell this story. And I know people are going to love it." Your first job, it might not be glamorous. I kind of got lucky. I'm a little spoiled here. But not everything is glamorous when it comes to media. Media is very real, and you're talking about things, all the time that, may not be happy things. I mean, news is happy. It's the good, the bad, the ugly. So your first job may not be the most glamorous job, like I talked about a little earlier. With that internship, I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing. I was running cameras, I was doing audio, something I never had interest in. But I took that opportunity and I said yes, and it led me to where I am today. Everything leads to each other. And again, say yes to everything. Every opportunity that presents itself, it's something you can put on your resume and more ways to make those connections. So say yes, take those opportunities. And your path is yours. It is. It is. My path may not look like, you know, the person next to me, but it's mine. Comparison is going to kill your creativity. If you sit there and you're constantly comparing yourself to, for me, for example, I'm only 22 years old. I started this anchor job 2 weeks after I started and a month after graduation. So uh, that's a big thing to wrap your mind around at 22 years old, leading a 4-hour newscast with my co-anchor who's had experience in this field. And I'm, coming from people that have had experience in this field, and I'm just fresh out of college, like a deer in headlights. But I didn't want to compare myself because, my news director chose me because he saw something in me and he saw the opportunity to make the morning show what he thought it could be. And you just kind of have to go into it with that mindset of, yeah, this is our morning show and we're going to make it the way we want to because that's why we were chosen for this job. So if you sit there and you compare yourself to other news outlets or other people in the field that you're in, then it's only going to kill your creativity because you want to create it to be yours. And so I put my own little Chloe twist on it at just 22 years old, and I'm loving every second of it. I've gotten some positive feedback, which is awesome. Of course, you get your few Karens, but that's okay because they only drive you to want to be better. Maybe it's even good to listen to some of those people that do have negative feedback because you're able to say, "Hey, maybe they're the ones watching me. Maybe I can take it, fix it, and that'll make me even better." But you can also use it as a confidence booster too when you do fix that issue. So there's just so much that goes into it, but comparison really is going to kill creativity. So never compare yourself to the person next to you. Now, can they ask questions? Because I want to
Yeah,
be able to.
we have some that they've handed me. But I do
Yeah.
want to talk about a couple of things real quick before I get to those. You mentioned about, going to Mississippi State. I
Hmm.
think kids don't realize state of Mississippi has some incredible multimedia programs in college.
Yes.
Mississippi State broadcast meteorology. I think it's like 75% of
Hmm.
meteorologists on TV across the country went to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ole Miss also has a world-renowned journalism program, and now
Yeah.
Jackson State, Tougaloo, and Alcorn both are just putting out all types of
Yes.
multimedia people. Aaron Pickens is teaching over at Tougaloo now in their news
Yeah.
department, and you mentioned the internship.
Hmm.
Um, I was trying to turn your sharing off.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out so they could like I could speak to them. Is it
No, you're
off?
fine.
All
Yeah.
right.
And then also you mentioned the internship. Gray Hurst WLBT has an unbelievable internship program that we've had a couple of our alums go through when they were student at Hines Community College, and one of them is on air at WJTV. The other one is the professor that'll be with us tomorrow at Hines Community College Utica in their mass comm. So agree 100% about that. Now, two other things I wanted to mention real quick before I do want to get to a couple of questions is you mentioned about the schedule. If you're a person that wants to work overnight and you're like not a morning person, there are people that are in the newsroom overnight, putting together stories, putting together photos, typing up scripts. There's people that are going to be programming the cameras, and they go home and they sleep all day. So
Yep.
I have people all the time tell me they want an overnight job. This could be a great job,
Yeah.
a great field to get into. And the other thing I wanted to mention, and I think we'd be remiss, I think you're the only person that's ever been on this platform that actually was in this same class, and you were in the
Yeah.
same class at
I
Germantown
was.
with our great friend, the late great D Self, who tragically passed away last year. And I just think we had to mention her because you were a student of hers. She was a great friend of mine, and I know she meant so much to that Germantown community. And I know Coach Howard and Miss McLean, that'll see this later, are doing a great job. But I did want to mention that you were sitting right where these students are sitting in this same class
It wasn't
not
that
that
long
long ago.
ago. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was sitting in that. I mean, I remember it. That's how not that long ago that it was. So if you're sitting there and you're like, this is overwhelming or this might be stressful, don't let it because I was literally sitting there not too long ago. I think y'all, if y'all are seniors, maybe like the eighth grade when I was sitting.
I've got ninth and tenth graders
Ninth
with
and
me
10th
today.
graders. Okay, so I mean, y'all are a lot younger, but I mean, it really, and it wasn't too long ago. I graduated high school in 2021, so not. I like to think that it wasn't that long ago that I was sitting there. I was like, this is so overwhelming. It's something I really, really want to do, but I don't know if I have all the skills. I don't know if I have completely what it takes. You do. If you have that passion and you have that drive, you have what it takes.
Well, I do have time for a couple questions. And
Yeah.
these are good. This person is Adija Bell. She's in 10th grade, one of our basketball and volleyball players here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, how do you decide which stories are the most important to cover?
You decide which stories are the most important because you have your five W's and your H. When, what? Hold on, let me think of them. When, where, what? I'm saying them out of order. When, where, why, what, how, why. I think I might have already said that. There's five W's, but you know when something's newsworthy because it's what everybody's talking about. We join the Facebook pages here, Talk of Town, any Facebook page we can join. We follow stuff on social media, follow our businesses, and again, like I said, connections. So when you meet somebody, they may know something and they email you and they're like, "Hey, this is going on." Well, there you made a connection, so now they're telling you about some different stuff that's going on around the coast. That's how we do it here. We have groups like Talk of Town Gulfport, Talk of Town Biloxi, Ocean Springs Happening. We join different social media sites like that, but also going out in your community. When you go out in your community, you're going to find things out. But you know that it's newsworthy because it answers your question of what's important, why is it important, how can this be relevant to our audience, when is this relevant. And it's kind of like when you're going to be writing script. I mean, it's your story, so yes, you get to choose it, but you have to make sure that it's something that your audience is going to like. So we always, like I said earlier when I was talking about the government shutdown, I was able to tie it into our military that we have here on the coast and how it affected them. That'd be a great story pitch because, yes, it's this huge national story, and maybe people are sick of watching national news, and that's why they turn their local news on so they can see things happening local, but they still want to know about that national stuff. So you take something big and you tie it in. But a lot of the times you make those connections, your connections will reach out and they'll let you know, hey, this is happening. And that's how you know it's going to be newsworthy because if somebody cares enough to reach out to you, then it's important to somebody.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because our friend Rob J said on this very platform a couple years ago that he had to learn some new things about what his viewers wanted to see because it can't just be all about what you like. People have
No.
different interests, people have different backgrounds, people have different ages and careers. So, it really is listening to your viewers and saying, hey, what would you like to see? And the most extreme example I heard of this, Rob J said they said they wanted to see more golf coverage. He went and got a book about golf and learned it so he could broadcast it better. And
Yep.
I just thought that was so funny. I got time for one
People
more.
do.
I got
All
time for
right.
one more. This is Deani Johnson. She's in ninth grade, member of our JROTC and our band here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, "What was your biggest motivation to get into news?"
I have a big personality. I'm sure y'all have already said, and I told the group that I talked to the other day about this. Picking what you're doing in your future is very, very important. So I physically took a piece of paper and I kind of always knew, like, oh, that really interests me. So I wrote, careers that interested me, which was being a lawyer, being a teacher. That was my backup plan. So I wanted to be a teacher, a lawyer. I wanted to work in media, or yeah, that's kind of the big three that I was debating between was working in TV, a lawyer, or teacher. Count the money out. Don't look at money. That's not important. Money will come with hard work. What you have to do is you have to I literally physically took a piece of paper and I wrote down, these are my hobbies. This is what I like to do. I love to talk. I love to tell a story. I love sports. I love things that are happening and keeping up with things that are happening. I love getting to know people. And there were so many more, but I took all of what I love to do, my personality traits, my hobbies, and I said, okay, these are characteristics of a lawyer. These are characteristics of a teacher. These are characteristics of a news anchor. And I went and I watched videos and I was like, you know what? This this is what my personality matches. And I also had that drive to want to do it. But it was more of finding out what my personality matched. And no, not every news anchor is crazy like I am and have this big, huge personality. They're more of wanting to let the community know what's happening. And they're a little bit more serious. That's why
Right.
I'm the early bird. I'm the early bird. So I'm up early in the mornings to get people up in the morning. But
Awesome.
just
Well,
finding
no,
out.
I was just say we're almost out of time.
Yeah,
And we thank you so much for joining us. But
of
a couple
course.
things before we go. First of all, tell us where they can watch you on WXXV.com, the live stream in the morning. And
Yeah.
where can they follow you on social media to see all your updates you have?
So y'all, if y'all have Facebook, y'all can follow me on Facebook. It's just my name. And I have a certain bio, but I will accept y'all. I will see who y'all are, see where y'all are from. Y'all are from my hometown, home state. It's just Chloe Carter, CHLOE CARTER. And then let me make sure I say this right. I do have a TV Instagram. That's also another thing that y'all can do is make a little Instagram and post all your, media stuff that you're doing. Keep up with it. But it is chloecarter.tv. So y'all can follow that. I haven't posted in a while, but I'm doing one big post. Going to talk about this a little bit and what I've been doing recently. So y'all follow me on there and keep up with me, and I'll give you a follow back. We can keep up with each other. And then my email, it is going to be the letter C, and then my last name Carter at WXXV25.com. And if y'all ever need anything or y'all ever have any questions, y'all can email me.
Yeah, and this field needs them. It's always going to need people. People are
Yes.
always going to need the news. It's going to keep growing, so they should really consider looking into this because we just saw a lot of places where their skills can be used.
Yes, absolutely. Thank y'all for having me. It's been awesome.
Well, it was good to see you again. We're so glad you were able to join us. I know you got to get some more caffeine to finish out your day. But all the way from Gulfport, Mississippi, morning anchor WXXV News 25, the Gulf Coast on. Chloe Carter, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Y'all have a good
I talk to you soon, buddy.
one. Bye.